Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. You're in for a treat. Today we are joined in studio by the one and only Genivieve, hilarious comedian from Detroit, Michigan. I don't know why.
It felt like a racial profile in a intro.
Honestly, I've been hypnotized by Eminem and Detroit versus everybody. Whenever I hear Detroit, I just have to yell it. I was so into Eminem as a kid that
Everybody from the 313. Put
I
your
had a
motherfucking hands up about me.
yeah. I had a hat that just said 313. I was nowhere near the 313 growing up. I was in the 661, but I was like, it's close, you know. Genivieve is a hilarious comedian from Detroit. Currently a door woman at the Mothership. Opens for Joe Rogan, opens for all the big players in town and all across the world. I did notice this, and this is what we were starting to talk about. You're very soft-spoken off stage, but on stage, you are a force to be reckoned with.
A lot of that is thank you, but a lot of that is to deal with, like, I need to stop smoking. Like, my voice will literally go out if I try to, like, sometimes... Like, I started having to carry water on stage now. I used to never do that, but now I have to carry it on stage sometimes because I'm like, I never know if I'm going to crack or something like that. And then, yeah, it just, I don't know. I figured after the first time, somebody ain't hear you. After the second time, not important.
Yeah. So did you start off, like, just kind of speaking lower and then you were like, I have to kind of amplify?
I don't remember growing up ever being like a big yeller.
Yeah.
Like only in church because that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, very little. I wasn't like a big theater major kid or like a big theatrical kid. Like, I mean, I probably was dramatic as fuck, but like as far as like a whole bunch of programs and things like that, I wasn't in. I just had church and stuff around church and just, you know, growing up a little bit, sneaking out and doing hood rat things with your friends.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Like I did choir and things like that. And I would, if I was trying to keep up, like projecting I was trying my hardest and my voice would go out. Like eventually I ended up taking like the bass, you know, in the praise team because like it helped my voice better. I wouldn't crack as much if I sang lower. But yeah, no, I've never been like a big, even when I sing, like cracks.
Yeah.
I don't know if some of that might be nervous energy, but some of that I think attributed to smoking. Like it's not the best.
Yeah. So you grew up in church.
Heavy.
Really?
Yeah. And it's crazy because it's not like your grandma or your mama dragging you every Sunday. That came later. It was my older sister by 5 years and I, I guess needed babysitting, I guess. And I had a cousin.
What a better babysitter than the Lord.
You know? Oh, you know, he hasn't been back. You know? He'll watch you, but from afar. You know?
Yeah, you just gotta trust that he's there. You just gotta believe. It's all faith that nothing's gonna happen.
Yes, plenty of wine.
Are you still religious?
Religious?
You're more spiritual.
I don't even like to say I'm spiritual because when you say spiritual, you have to be open to a lot of
crystals
shit that I'm just like. There's still like what I take away from my church and my ex-pastor. I can't really call him my ex-pastor because I still fucks with him. Like he's cool people. But it's like I don't really take like crazy some spiritual stuff from the Bible I take, but like I feel like I took a lot of pet peeves away.
From the Bible?
From my church and my pastor and the members. Like you were holy if you were confined in these, don't check off these pet peeves.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it didn't really, like you were encouraged to develop a personal relationship with God, but like you were expected to kind of be there all the time. So it's like, how do I know what type of Christian I am if I'm always under y'all's supervision?
Yeah.
And if I'm always under, because there's the Bible's rules, there's the law, and then there's your pet peeves.
Yeah.
So like how much of myself can I be? Or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
and like creativity was encouraged. Like I tried so many different ministries in the church. Like I just was bouncing from here to there to there to there. And now that I look back, you know, now I see I was silly the whole time. Like the whole time silly. Like, you know, there was this one moment in church I'll never forget, like, because it happened a couple times. But you ever, what church you grew up?
I grew up, it's been so long, Christian.
Okay. So you are familiar when
What did you grow up?
Baptist.
Okay.
So you're familiar with like when people get in the spirit, they may like cry or you know, something like that. So sometimes the pastor would be like, you know, God, bring forth the spirit of joy, the spirit of laughter. He said that to the whole congregation, like bring forth laughter, joy. And I'm like, how the hell you gonna do that? You know, that's what I'm thinking in my head. But you know how laughter is contagious. So like literally the rows trickled just, and it's like black people laughs.
Whoa.
So you know it's like, I'm like, this shit is nuts. And I'm laughing too because I'm like, this is nuts. And I'm like, wow, like how, like it makes sense now. But like every time I knew street jokes or jokes clean enough to tell around church and, you know, crack the pastor up. I tried a whole bunch of different shit, man. Like, but as far as at my religious, I don't do much of that anymore. Yeah, because my sister of 5 years, like, we need babysitting, and then our cousin was a nurse at the church. You know, the lady that wipes the pastor's forehead when he's sweating and switches water out. Yeah, shit like that. Take care of the pastor, like an actual nurse, and like she was one of the nurses, and so she was like, "I'm going to church. Y'all going to church?" It was like, "Fine," and we go. And they were talking about we're having auditions for the choir. And my father is a musician, singer. My mother loves to sing. Beautiful voice. My sister can sing. And I wasn't really like looking at all that. But I was like, hey, you like to sing? I like to sing. Like, want to go join the choir? She was like, fuck it. And so we went. And then when we debuted, I guess, our first Sunday, we asked our mom to come. And she fell out in the spirit. And next thing you know, we was there for 18 years. 18 years. And sometimes like literally 5 days a week sometimes.
Really?
Most times. I lived there. My mom had a key. Like
to the church?
Yeah, she was an administrator for a long time.
Man, that is a big commitment. 5 days a week. Did you, so when you wanted to leave the church, like when you finally, like, was there a point where you started questioning it, where you're like, I don't want to get out of this a bit?
It's not that I wanted to leave. It's kind of like, you know, what are they called? Pilgrims, right? Pilgrim? No. Who are Amish?
Oh, yeah.
It's like the Amish, you know, how they get a certain age and they push you out in society or something. And if you
come back
somewhat pure, whatever. So basically, you know, I didn't personally want to go to college. No. That wasn't necessarily, like, I wanted to do something with my life, but I didn't think college was, like, you know, looking back on, you know, from preschool to senior year, I'm not you know, I went because that's what you're supposed to do, and I did as much work that got my parents off my ass, you know what I mean? But it's like, I was more of a networker, you know what I mean? Like, I knew at least one person from every clique. I knew at least one person from every, you know, athletic team. I knew, you know, I knew for the most part, all the teachers' names, all the counselors' names for the most part. You know,
that's a great skill.
I didn't know that's what that was at the time. I thought I was just annoying. You know what I mean? Because like I'm in elementary school, so cool with the secretary. I'm like, hey girl, can I call my mama today? Go ahead. Hey mom, what you doing at work? Why are you calling me? Like, it's just supposed to be class. Yeah. So like, you know, that's what I got from school. But I never thought of myself as like a brainiac, like an engineer, doctor, lawyer. Like at one point when I was a kid, I thought I wanted to get into law, be a judge, or I don't know.
Really?
Judge shows was starting to become popular around that time. And then like, you know, I don't know. I just thought that was a smart thing to say. You know how they ask kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I'm like, judge. And they're like, oh, we scared of you. You know? It's like, nah, I tell pussy jokes now. And it was short-lived. But Yeah. So, but yeah, 18 years, like from age 8 to 18, I was at that church.
Yeah.
That's only 10 years, right?
And you said before we started podcasting that you're a morning person. Is that why? Like you always going to church, or was church at night during those weeks?
Sometimes night church, sometimes morning church, always morning church, but like mostly morning, early afternoon, and sometimes night.
So you would go sometimes 3 times a day to church?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I would never leave. Like we'll go, maybe we'll leave to eat at home.
Yeah.
But my mom was just so work, church. And then she picked up another cleaning job on the side to help with bills. And I would be with her at the church I'd be at school all day with her at church all night. And then I'll go help her clean some of the buildings and stuff like that we had to clean on the account and stuff like that. So it was like, yeah, okay. I started living with my aunt around 16, 17. Mm-hmm. And she's a beautician and, cosmetologist. I think she teaches now and dabbles in other businesses and stuff. Yeah. She's like my first example of like a real successful, hood rich type story,
Yeah.
And I was living with her. And so when I started living with her, I was like, maybe I'll get into the beautician business. So I don't know did you go to high school here in Texas?
No.
Where'd you go to high school?
California.
I don't know. I have no clue what it's like there. But in Detroit at the time I was going to high school, you had the option of vocational school. So, people could learn how to work on cars, learn to do this, cosmetology, or manicuring. And so I chose manicuring.
Okay.
And so I was like, I'm going to do that. I'm going to work in her salon. I'm going to make some money, maybe take some classes and figure my life out, Yeah. But, that's what I'm going to do, the hustle. And, but she personally like really pushed my sister and I to go to school. Me specifically pushed the hell out of me. My sister was always going to go. Yeah. But like she was really worried about me and pushed me to go and kind of guilt tripped me because when my grandma passed away, like on her deathbed, she told, because my aunt is the oldest out of her and my mom. And so she was like, make sure them girls, as me and my sister, make sure them girls go to college. And I was like, oh, if you going to pull the grandma on her deathbed shit on me, then I got to go. I don't want no ghost hunting me because.
Just in the back, like.
You know what I mean? Just judgment. So I had to go. Yeah.
That's beautiful, though.
Yeah. Long story short, I did not get my manicuring license. And I went to school. And yeah, it was a wild time.
and you studied psychology at Detroit State, Michigan State.
Yeah, I only took a few, like maybe a year or two of psychology, like a few semesters. I couldn't pass. Most of my basic psychology classes were basic math classes.
Oh, okay.
It was funny, like, because in Detroit public schools, by the time I was graduating, I was averaging like a BB plus in calculus.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
And I get to Michigan State and I have to take like the lowest algebra class and I'm failing miserably. And I'm like, this ain't the same math. Like, there's some different shit.
Oh, yeah.
Psychology was so hard. And I was coming from a church where, you're encouraged to read on your own and have a relationship on your own. But when you come congregate, like, follow the authority.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And don't mess with people's pet peeves. You know what I mean? And so like reading psychology and certain things and it just like it fucked with my Christianity or what I thought it was. You know what I mean? So I'm not all the way like big pharma, all medical doctors are righteous, only go what the CDC tells you and just go down that whole route, take as many pills as possible for your problems. Yeah. I'm not all that route either, but I'm also not all like
eat dirt and just don't.
And I believe Jesus and God, they made medicine and resources and things like that. I think it takes a collection of everything. So like I don't really consider myself religious or spiritual. I really would like to go to heaven if there's one. Yeah. Like I would really like to go there. Tight. I mean, compared to the other option. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I would really like to not go to hell. And you know, I said the words I had to say. I got dipped in the pool, slapped oil on my head. I ate the crackers. I try to pray, try to be a good citizen on top of what I think a good Christian is, and follow the inner conviction and not the mental conviction. You know what I mean? So, and I'm not saying I can good deed my way into, you know, God's heart or heaven, but I do believe in unconditional love. And I do believe in forgiveness. And I do believe those take spiritual capacity to achieve.
Oh, yeah.
Those are two things, because those are the two things that I feel like I need the most, like unconditional love and forgiveness. And I feel like people need that. Like, you see the culture right now. You see the pulse of the society right now. Like, it's not as murder, cancel as it was, because we're so tired, and like we literally spent the last 3 years engulfed in the internet, because you know what I mean. Outside was dangerous. You know, the air could kill you. You know, so it's like, you know, those are my two big things I feel like I took away from the whole thing, and what I try to exude. It doesn't always work out.
Yeah,
it's interesting being a comic. I got this joke that I don't know if it'll ever go anywhere, because it's just too true for me. It's like being a sensitive comic is like being a vegan working in a butcher shop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, I'll do the job, I'll give you what you want, but I'm hoping deep inside you'll eat some vegetables. You know what I mean? Just take care of yourself a little bit better. You know what I mean? Maybe not feel like, you know, I don't know.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I like that too. And it's like, if you live your life that way, like that's like my whole take is like, I think unconditional love and forgiveness it's probably, those are the two of the most important things for a society.
And the hardest to achieve.
Yeah.
Like, I don't count your spouse, because that's a daily forgivenence. Like, when is the last time, like, especially like in comedy, it's so hard too, because like, I don't think nobody really means to do you fucked up, but like, it's a crazy game, because you get exposure and money and feel fulfilled in some way, and it's like, I'm telling pussy jokes, like, you know what I mean? It's such the opposite of my childhood upbringing, and but it's like, pissing off this guy can fuck this up later. Speaking your mind here, or sounding too woke makes you scary over here, and going off the deep end, and like, oh, it's all dirt and crass and uncouth, and it's like
with
that
the
scares,
audience reacting like that.
Scares it's audience, bookers. Yeah, there are some gatekeepers. You know, the little gates that they do have, they keep the shit out of them. You know, and it's like, I'm like, whoa. You know, I'm going where who will have me. I intend for everybody to laugh, but I'm still learning how to read the room and crowd work and riff better. Because I think you get better at that if you're an actual conversationalist. Like, I used to be better at it, but now it's like not as loud, not as, you know, people don't, like, if I'm in a green room, people don't remember me like talking their ear off. You know what I mean? Like, I do get like, you're quiet and all that kind of stuff on stage. And it's like, I feel better about myself the more I limit what I say.
Oh, in conversation?
And in comedy. Like, some of my favorite jokes are some of the shortest ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's just like, boom, boom, boom. Presents, boom, boom. Give you, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It feels weird to connect sometimes, because, ironically, after studying psychology and having to be on academic probation and go to counseling and all that kind of stuff like that, I try to study it, and then like a few years later, I get diagnosed with a mental disorder. And I'm like, well, fuck, I might have studied a little too hard. You know, like, can you absorb it too much? You know? Like the Coneheads read a book, like, now I have a disorder. I didn't see that coming, but so much undiagnosed mental health in our families. Like, what was that in the 80s and 70s and 60s? And, and just locked you up or some shit and called it a day.
Yeah. Well, that's what's like crazy. So like I went to nursing school and then I graduated and I was like, I'm not going to be a nurse. And part of it is there is like such a history, especially with like mental health, where so much stuff that maybe through like therapy and stuff like that and like understanding better and having that unconditional love and like forgiveness. Like I really do think like forgiveness and like love really can be medicine for people. And it's also like can be medicine for yourself because like forgiveness is like something that feels really good for you because you let go of all of that, like whatever was connected to it, and it like changes your attitude because like I've had it where I've posted clips or even like people on a show with hecklers and they don't like something. And then if you like hold on to it, you like get angry about it. You're just like, man, why I can say this, blah, 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 blah. But it's just like, it feels like, man, like you just let it go. Just like, it feels better,
My last Kill Tony episode came out.
Here, turn the mic towards you.
I'm sorry. It's all good. My last Kill Tony episode came out on Monday. And, you're not supposed to read the comments, but I do. And I do. And... And it's just, and it's those people that post because they know you do. They know you do. And they want to reach you. They want to hurt you. They want to get their opinion. They want to get it off. They want to participate. Internet makes you crazy. Yeah. It really does. Like in some manic states, I may have reached out to people I probably shouldn't have or said things online or videotape stuff I shouldn't have. I get it. Like it takes over. I try not to take it too personal because it's like, you know what the weird thing is? You could say I'll never meet this person. Like this person will never be in my life, but you do so many shows that it could be a possibility that they could be even in your face. Like I was like at Mothership the other day. I'm bagging phones, and this person was like, "You remember me?" I'm like, "Hey." So you don't remember me? I'm like, I feel scared. Yeah. I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, and then some people buy merch too, and they feel really offended if they spend some money on you. You don't remember my name. It's like, please give me some grace. You don't understand.
That's a lot.
How many faces I see all the time. You know what I mean? Like, that wasn't one of my gifts. Like in middle school, I used to could memorize all the notes right before the test and pass it and do good. But since, I've been smoking since I've been 19. So it's like certain things aren't the same way.
Yeah. It's interesting with the comments because you do know, like,
some of them are hilarious.
Some of them are great. Some of them are like, you're not supposed to be reading them. And I feel like there's a healthy balance of like, it is just weird that it's always the negative ones that you hold on to. Like it can be like 50 great comments about you, but then it's like those two people say that thing and you're just like, this piece of shit. What is their name?
That's not even, I take it dramatically. Yeah. It's like one person was like, Genivieve is absolutely disgusting. I'm like, oh.
That's so terrible. But it's like, I think people do that when they're miserable.
That gave you some endorphins, didn't it? That gave you a high. That really did something for you that day, that on your energy. Wow.
I think it's just like people, I think because like if I was looking at you, I'd be like, this person is like living this great life. They're on stage. They're getting everybody to laugh. And you are great at what you do. I think it upsets them because it like reflects their own life where they're like, I'm not doing something I want to do.
Sounds like what your parents say to you or your kid. And if they don't like you, they're just haters.
There's some truth to it, And because you always find out when you're a kid, like the kid who bullies you, he's getting like beat up by his dad at home. And then like there's some truth to it.
I think about my bully often.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm petty and I'm like, I hope you stressed out with babies and you just struggling to make it, you bitch. But sometimes I'm like, oh, God bless her.
God bless her. And that's where that forgiveness comes in. You got to hit her with that unconditional love.
Balance. Yeah. Shout out to Charmonique.
Charmonique, you bitch. She's going to show up at a show with one of your shirts on and be like, Genevieve, I'm so happy for
We're
you.
going to take a picture together and then do a celebrity boxing match. I want revenge.
You're going to give her a career so you can break it.
Yes.
Yeah. It's funny we were talking about being baptized. I was thinking about it. I got baptized as a little kid at the beach. There was this but I don't know what religion it was.
Probably, there's a few Christian ones that baptize.
But it was like my parents weren't involved. No one knew I did it. We were camping at this beach and there was a group of religious people there doing it for their church. Mm-hmm. And I snuck into the group and I got baptized with them. So I don't know what it was. I don't know if I'm going to
Did they make you say some stuff first?
They made me repeat some things.
That's how you get saved. And then the stamp on it is the baptism.
Okay, yeah. And they pushed me underwater. And then I got out and I was like, thanks. And I ran away. And so I don't know if I'm going to heaven or hell, what it could have been.
I don't know what the legality of confessing your heart to God and getting saved. And I know the jargon very well because I used to be on the missionary team.
Oh, really?
And where you go door to door like the Jehovah's Witness. But like we would try not to bombard them with paperwork and things. Like we had maybe some pamphlets. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like it was odd because this was like early 2000s, 90s, mostly early 2000s, like, 90s, early 2000s. And the Jehovah's Witness had a reputation. Like, early morning, it's like, oh God, who's at the door? You already know. Like, I don't want to hear that shit. And so we were going against that. But like I'll give my pastor props. He was very much a visionary. Like he said that he started from one little building in the middle of the block to now the whole block is a church. I was there when it was just that. It was like the sanctuary was one building. They bought the next building. They had it as a fellowship hall. And so they bought, and then the next thing you know, they bought that, and it just expanded. And, so it was weird because we would go out. And my mom is very beautiful. So like we'll go out and hood dudes be like hitting on my mom. And I'm like, we are trying to talk to you about Jesus, sure. And my mom
praise the heavens.
My mom got to be humble and stuff. Like, do you know about Jesus? You so sexy. Thank you. Do you know about Jesus? Can I get your number? Like, it's like, dude.
Oh man.
It was hard for that. And then it wasn't all bad though. We prayed for some people and I was so confident as a kid. Like I would pray my ass off like a preacher. Like, yeah. Like, hear every single prayer request and just, not to like get cocky about praying with God, but I'm like, prayer. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I killed it.
You could perform.
Yeah, I guess it was performing. Cause like, it's not that I didn't all the way believe. I really had genuine hope that, the love I felt sometimes in my relationship with God, like I really did want the world to feel that. Like I really did, who don't want to try to get everybody to go to heaven? You know what I mean? Like, that's, even though the whole concept is crazy, it's crazy. If it's true, not to join in, you look like the fool later. You know what I mean? But like when I was a kid, like before 8, I wasn't really into angels and demons and spooky shit in hell. Like, I wasn't really scared of too much other than my parental figures as far as authority. And, even with that, like, I don't really think I was really trying to do shit to get, a whooping or anything like that. So it was just like, I remember chilling more so. But then like when church got in, like suddenly the dark became weird and dreams became weird and like, how you maneuver around to make decisions. Like, it's weird. Like, I've been to the mental institution a few times. And a lot of girls, because I end up on like, girl units. And it's like a lot of girls express their manic state through religious like things. Like I met a girl who thought she was the Antichrist.
Oh, wow.
I met, a girl who refused to take her medicine or eat because she was playing out a plan that God wanted her to do. Yeah. And so she was like withering away and it was all types of shit, like going up in there and like night terrors for some people, and it's just like I could just see them deeply disturbed and messed up. And you know, you it's like it's weird because one of my ex-pastor's brother was a doctor, and so like to see him as involved in church as he was used to fuck with me, because I'm like, you're a man of medicine, you know what it takes to get healthy. Like, you know that some of these ailments that some of the people are coming up to the altar with, like, I believe Jesus can heal. I believe all the things. I believe, faith and doing the right thing for your body and positive thoughts and energy will heal you as well. But it's like, I used to get confused, like, dude, later taking psychology classes and learning about mental health and things like that, I was like, wow, like maybe some of those people really could have benefited from a program. You know what I mean? Because not just you really feel the spirit, you throw up. Like, I've seen some people, get the hands laid on in the oil, and like they used to have buckets up there for people to throw up, like at the altar, and they'll say that's releasing bad spirits and, stuff like that. And people fall out and put the sheet on, and it's just, and I guess all of the mixture of all that kind of fucked me up. And then, they say most people don't notice mental health issues until their 20s. And it's just like a combination of like letting go of what I knew of Christianity to be, what I, a whole bunch of shit just was fucking with me. And it was just like, I don't remember what my point was, but, but I'm just, the correlation between getting introduced to Christianity or religion a certain way, not introduced to medicine and medical health, and then like I don't think there's no ultimate rehabilitation program that's gonna save the world. Yeah. But sometimes I do. Like, if we can dream, why can't I, Yeah. If we got a genie and we got 3 wishes, don't knock my shit.
Yeah. It also like shows me, like, I feel like it's a thing among comedians. Even growing up, you see it where it's like you're just questioning things and you see kind of the contradictions and parallels and different things. And it's like, I feel like that questioning is what makes a good comic, is like you start seeing the faults in society and just kind of things that are just abstract. And that's kind of like seeing the pastor's brother being like, well, if you're this, why are you this? But it's like that can just...
Where are you now? Spiritually, religiously?
I don't know.
I
think because it is like so conflicting for me, where it's like if I went through a religious phase and I got really into the Bible and just trying to learn as much as I could about tons of religion. And it did feel like I was just like going around and around, and I kind of just adopted the idea of like, I'm going to control what I can control, and that's trying to be a good person and trying to just do right and be my own moral compass of like what would be good for everyone and like what's going to be good for me.
I find that hilarious about Christianity though, because like you don't really hear that too much about other religions, but like Christianity is one of those things where like people really have good intentions when they first get in it. Like, I'm gonna give this shit an honest try. Yeah. And at the end of most people's like honest try, they're like, I'm just gonna be a good person. Like, that's all I got. Like, that shit seems impossible. Like, not only was Jesus a spirit and perfect, like he was like a straight ninja. The way he like dodged all the bullshit that we do as a human. Like, you know what I mean? Granted, most people don't know, or they know, but they don't highlight enough that he did it for 33 years. Because even Jesus knows after 33, you know what I mean? Like, like maybe, cut it off here, God. Like, you know what I mean?
He's like, God, just take me. I'm done.
He's like, hey, I gotta go. They don't know what they do. I gotta wrap this up.
All right, I'm ready to go to heaven. All right,
let me show you perfection. That's about enough.
For 33 years then now.
Okay.
Yeah. And I found a lot of just I don't know, with like people I've been around where there was so much. I mean, if you look at the history of like the Crusades and stuff, so much like violence and things done in the name of like religion. If you go like farther,
I don't think that's a lot of people's excuse.
Yeah.
You know, especially like Black people, because you know they always associate, because it's true. Everything, just like how everything. You know how those positive, optimistic people can turn any negative thing into like, well, on the bright side. You know what I mean? That's the thing too with Christianity. It's like, oh, all the lives saved. Da, da, da. It's like, okay, what about all the lives not saved, and shit and bloodshed and horror and gore and horribleness? But Jesus, forgive. You know?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, and it's easy as a Black person because it's like everything is either related to Africa, slavery, racism.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like everything, and the Bible didn't answer that enough for me, because I don't really see, other than poor whites compared, you know, in America. I don't know. I got to look up, because I feel like that 2020 census was very scattered.
Yeah.
By the 2020 census, I felt like a lot of people just didn't believe in the census data anymore. Didn't find it as vital as it used to be to really like, because censuses are very vital to sociologists, because it helps get a pulse of the society. Like you can actually mathematically and scientifically pose a question in certain programs and come out with data and statistics to either yay or nay your opinion or whatever, or your hypothesis or whatever. Because like that was one of the hardest classes in college for me, was the system that we had to use to get data and things like that. But because the 2020 census, I feel like wasn't really like well participated in. I think it's really hard to get a true like pulse on where our true numbers, like how many poor white people are there, how many like graduating Black people are there, what is the main thing that people are being incarcerated for in this year or in the last 10 years? Like, what's the number one crime? What's the number one this? What's the number one lack of resource in that area? You know, it's all types of things that, and you know, to say that Black people had it hard in this country is like, understatement. Like, but the parts that bother me the most, and I think there's an ancestral frustration that we carry, that when we did that whole bootstrap thing, pull yourself up, you know what I mean? And have your own, do for yourself, do your own.
Yeah.
Also problems. So it's like, you know, it's like, it's hard to be a believer in kumbaya, all one love, when history tells you that this brown brings problems. You know what I mean? And it's just ancestral frustration, mental embedded DNA frustration. Yeah. And just palpitations in your heart. You can't help but to feel in certain things. Like just from the extreme, like all the police shooting videos from that, or just simple day-to-day interaction. You know what I mean? But once again, like, this sounds preachy, and it's not funny, and it's not all inclusive, and you know the average American, you know, needs to laugh at the end of the day for the comedy thing to work. You know what I mean? Like, you can crush Black rooms, you can crush Latino rooms, you can crush, you know, whatever. Like, I've done a good diverse amount of crowds, and it's like, I just know at the end of the day, if you're not making the All-American, you know, who not laughed in, it's like, and sometimes that takes a little jab in racial areas, a little jab in gender areas, a little jab in, you know, sexual preferences and things like that. Because my biggest beef with sociology, studying that, was noticing a lot of shit that you don't know what to do about. Yeah. And like, the more woke you get, the more agitated you get, and what can you do? Because you're putting all this shit on your plate, and sometimes you just attack that person because that person represents all this for you. You know what I mean? It's You know, I never thought I would use the word umbrella so much after college. You know what I mean? Everything's under an umbrella.
Umbrella,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? But it's so true.
There are kind of blanket answers and kind of glossed over things of people who have had hardships and, in different areas. And it feels like it does get glossed over because they're like, that's so much work to have to go back and do it. And it's almost like a lazy stance. But I get that's where like frustration comes from. Because if you've experienced things and you're like, hey, the bootstrap thing wasn't, something that is real. Some people start, like I even look at my dad. So my dad was born in Puerto Rico in like a house with dirt floors. And it was like, we grew up really poor. And it was always a thing when you're growing up where you're just like, man, like it feels like I don't have these things. I have shoes from the thrift store and all this stuff. But you don't realize like people do start from different areas of, not everybody starts at the same line. So it's like when you hear people say like, oh, well, all you got to do is this. And you're like, motherfucker, I didn't start there. Like it's going to be generations until someone in my family tree is going to have the opportunity to start where you started now, so.
Yes, but not to complain because, I've been very, very blessed, very fortunate in comedy. Like,
yeah. But it is an uncomfortable conversation that is important, to at least acknowledge and, not pretend like it doesn't happen.
I don't know. Like, sometimes I feel like being bipolar, being a woman, being Black, being me all together, like, I really do feel like that vegan in the butcher shop. And I'm like, sometimes I'm like, I can't cut it.
Yeah.
Butcher. All right. Yeah, but I really feel like I can't hang on sometimes because I'm like, the sensitivity is getting to me. Like, my boss, got in trouble for, what I mean? The boss of the club I work for, got in trouble for some racy shit. His understudy racy shit. Everybody comes on there and associated racy shit. Some of the people coming up. And then, even some of my shit is racy shit. Like, and it's like, it happens. Like, where do you go to be a dick? Where do you go to be an asshole, to point out the dark, the dirty, there needs to be space for that. You know what I mean? People pay money to just be awful and laugh at awful things. But there is space, I feel, for a creative way to, because I know, all the sayings, can't get everybody to like you, or everybody's not going to love you, or, in comedy, if everybody's laughing and like it, then you're not really doing your job. It's got to be some people that's pissed off. And then but it's like, okay, but, not to be God or nothing, but I want what I saw in church, that joy, that just, like, I have comedy, like, levels unlocked that, like in the game, you unlock a level. Like I want different laugh unlocks, like slapping the knee, crying, shit, farting, I don't care, gotta go to the bathroom, you trip, I don't know, spit take. Like I just want just pure, just like, I think I'm trying to recapture the church scene. And also, like, my sister is my best friend, and she's like one of the silliest people I know. More serious these days because she works corporate, but like when we get together and we were kids, like it was stupid. Like our parents could not take us because all we did was laugh and just laugh at the dumbest shit and be silly and just have all these weird inside jokes. And so like back when AOL was the shit, like different chats and shit like that, we would like get into like funny chats and stuff like that and read jokes and stuff. And I remember one time, like, we laughed so hard, like we were both on the floor, leaned over, holding our stomachs, crying, laughing. And I had a thought to myself, like, I might die. Like, this might be how I leave. And then that made me laugh. And so I'm like, and so it took a while, but I'm like, I want to give people that. And part of me feels, I don't care what the fuck I got to say, I'm going to do it. But then it's like, nah. You care. You care what the fuck you say. But you wouldn't think so with my current set. Like, my current 20 to 30 is like, it's about my life. It's about things. It's about randoms. It's, set up punchline, traditional blah blah blahs, and it's like a little all over the place. But like, a good 10 minutes is a little bit about religion, but it's not necessarily my experience per se. It's like
observational religion.
Yeah. And I would like to get more long form, loosey, conversational, like all that. I just don't know what the barrier is. Like sometimes I'm good on podcasts, sometimes I'm good off rip, off the top and all that good stuff. But it's like there's a consistency that I feel like people book me for that, I don't feel all the liberties to be something, try something new all the time. Like if I do, I pepper it in.
Yeah.
And it's like, because I feel like people, like there's like 3 main jokes that people know, like it's changing now, but like, I just don't want to pigeonhole myself or allow anybody else to, but it's just like, I don't know what direction, like the universe pulls me in the, big gigs, decent money, pulls me in the Joe Rogan Kill Tony direction. Just the hustle part of me and the fact that I am funny, like the old scene fucks with me. And then everybody in between, I'm just figuring it out, and it's just, it's kind of like school, kind of like church. Just haven't found my clique yet, what I mean? If there is one for me.
Yeah.
Whoever attaches to me, like it really rotates. Like some people are close some weeks, some days, some months, a year, and then it's like different. And it's like, I don't know if I'm doing enough of what I need to be doing behind the scenes to achieve all those unlocks that I'm trying to achieve.
Honestly, that's such a profound statement because I know exactly what you're talking about. Because there is like a level that, like, even with me with joke writing and everything, where you start telling certain kind of jokes because you're like, these jokes work and it's like more broad. And like just from like what I've seen and like started to realize is like those jokes that don't work in the beginning and are like hard, those eventually become those like knee slapper jokes once you figure them out. I think like Louis C.K. was talking about that like the best jokes, they make you feel cringy. You're almost embarrassed to do them. He's like, but you got to keep eating shit over and over again with them. And eventually they like you hammer them out to be those knee slappers. Yeah, that's very profound because it's almost like when something starts working, you're like, well, I guess I have to just keep repeating this rather than you're like, I need to push away from this and like broaden my horizons to what I want to say. Have you started like writing more about your experiences rather than like just the observation of church and like?
The want and desire to write, to go down memory lane, really revisit details in my head, revisit a moment. There's like this, I'm always doing something or in my phone. And, sometimes like, I'm like, oh, I'll jot that down. Maybe that's something, revisit it later, but there's this weird thing about me these days where like, you say I'm a morning person. Sometimes I'm way much a morning person than I want to be. Like this morning, like I was up, got up like maybe 4 or 5.
Wow.
And then like
actually got up and got out of bed?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I got up and and I was like, okay, I'm an hour behind my mom's time. That's usually my first call of the day. I try to give her till about 7. If I wake up early, I used to call at 6. I'm like, she's up, it doesn't matter. But it's like, nah, she needs to sleep. So it's like, I'm like, okay, I can't call my mom till 7, her time. So it's like, I get up, I see what mess Marcus has made, and I'm all like, well, guess that's on me to clean. And then it's like, I look at the laundry, then I look at what I have to do today. I look at the schedule, and I guess like everything, maintaining this is like, as long as I'm up and have some energy, I need to be maintaining what I have. You know what I mean? It's like it's been about maintaining what I have more so than all about like the excitement of creativity, the excitement of writing. Like I've never been like excited to write or like thought of myself as like a prolific writer. Like I get anxiety typing on my phone, right? I get doubtful, like if I misspell a word, if I'm not all the way manuscript or cursive, it's just like, a mix between both. I judge my handwriting. I don't even like the sentence that I'm saying. I'm like, that's not a funny thought. Like I get in my shit, like, and the best things these days that work is like something I say in conversation that somebody says, repeat again. That's a good one, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And it sucks too sometimes as a comic, because sometimes it's like, though it may be humorous, your delivery, it's like you're really trying to get some shit out. You know what I mean? It's like, so, and I get frustrated with writing. I get frustrated with praying. And it's like, if you can't write, then at least you could pray. And it's like, oh, damn, And then if it's like, if you can't pray, then maybe write. And it's like, damn, again, like, and so like, I've been trying to revisit voice recording. Sometimes I feel like the only opportunity that I get to truly explore or write sometimes is in a certain setting or sometimes on stage. Like, I'm taking a class. I always wanted to take a class. So I'm very excited about this class, and it requires you to have 10 jokes for every class. Come in with 10 jokes, and I'm like, fuck. So I kind of been cheating a little bit. It's like I had some new stuff that I never touched or like never went back to revisit, and then you write a little bit in class because she says, okay, this is your subject, blah blah blah, and so it's like, okay, and like little do they know I'm like, thank God I got something new to try somewhere else. You know what I mean? Because like I don't think and the peer pressure of it all makes you like, do your homework or whatever. But like sitting down, I have so many different avenues to get this out. And it's just like, my therapist and I haven't been able to figure it out. The medicine, this and that. I self-medicate. It's like, and at the same time I say all that and people are like, you're doing great. Shut up. You know what I mean? Look at what you have done. Shut up. It's like, y'all don't understand the shit it takes to get there. Yeah. Keep it going,
It is like, it's something I realized with even doing podcasting and talking to like successful people, especially like on the surface, like, yeah, it looks great. But then it's like, no, everybody, like it's not like that. Everything is like, once you hit to a new level, you think, oh, they've unlocked that level. They must be so happy. They have everything, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, no, all those struggles are still there, and everything, those fears and anxieties.
I get to see a little bit behind the scenes of some very successful people in our field. And they know they're good. They know they're great. They know they worked their ass off. They got to where they got to by a little bit of luck, but a lot of hard work. And it's like, even them, I still hear some negative self-talk, and I'm like, wow, your level? Then fuck. Because I just, like, I look at my bank account, and I'm like, I'm looking at you, and I'm like, I got love, whoo. Like,
yeah.
God damn.
Jim Carrey had a great quote that he wished everybody could get everything they ever wanted and have unlimited money to realize that that's not what fixes you.
Yeah.
And that's like something that's crazy, is because you think like, oh, once I have this, then I'll be good. Yeah. And once I get there, it'll be good, and then I'll feel great and I can live happily ever after. But like every time you get somewhere, you're like, fuck.
It must be tough for Jim Carrey because, I heard about his upbringing and having to live in a van with his family and stuff like that, and writing himself a check for however much money and stuff. And
$1 million he wrote that check.
And that's beautiful. But I also don't want to get to celebrity status by being silly and then just be the serious person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I've been trying to embrace the balance that I have now because, I have a really good friend. I talk to her almost every day, and it's usually about business and goals and, our day to day. And, I wish I can, that's more podcasty, the conversation with her. So I'm like, maybe I like to delve in that. I've tried so many times, but it's like, there's just so much factors into it, and having to get your mental and everything, having to get in the game. But it's like, I question like, why can't I have those real, I've been doing newer and different things on stage, especially because at Mothership, you get up a lot being a door guy. So it's like, those people pay good money. You're mostly talking to a sold out crowd. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, some of them watch Kill Tony. Some of them have been repeats, some of these people. And it's like, I really, in my heart, I don't want to give you this same set list. And I'm trying to switch it up, but it's like, it's not coming fast enough. And it's like, I want to meet the demands, but I also I'm not a factory. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm not a joke factory. I really am not. I'm like, I'm a person that figured out how to make this and do it this way and getting what's receiving. And it's like, trying to figure out, like, I had a hard time in college too. Same thing. Like, all you really have to do the work and study. That was the hardest part about college. Like, I'll take any morning class, be there before on time, But like that, like it took me all the way up to the point where I was about to get kicked out, like on academic probation, before I figured out how to make myself study or get the work done. Like, and I'm having that same thing. But I'd rather be dealing with this in college.
Do you feel like, especially with like being at the Mothership, because it's always interesting, because like it's almost like the pressure of the demand, like there's almost more pressure, because it's like when you're on doing shows where it's like 7-8 people, there's a pressure, but it's like, I don't know if it's the same pressure as a sold out show. But it's like you want that sold out show before you get there. And then once you get to the sold out show, you're like, man, I wish I was with those 7 people so I could fuck around and not do these, and kind of take more chances. Do you feel that? Like, when you're like trying to work on new stuff, do you want less people in the crowd, or do you want that sold out show?
It depends, because I think you get, because even sometimes with a sold out crowd, like some of your tried and true stuff can go stale, and you're like, okay, this might be the crowd, it might be, this or whatever. And I don't like being one of those comedians that's like basing everything off the crowd. It's like, what space were you in? What jokes did you leave? Did you read the room? Did you pay attention to the comics before you? Did you pay attention to the crowd work that was done? Did you, are you familiar with venue you're in, what city you're in? How many of these people are out of towners? You might have local jokes that don't work because people don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Or like, it's so many factors that's not just like, oh, that crowd was weird, or so it's like, I don't like to give all that, because the fact that you paid any money and you showed up on time for comedy, you're already a comedy fan to me. Even though you got some of those more times women, what I mean? And it's like, it's like, okay, but it's like, more than likely, you came to have a good time, regardless. So it's like, no, give the crowd a break. You know what I'm saying? They don't get to stay up drinking being hooligans all night and telling pussy jokes. They gotta clock in and wipe asses. You know what I'm saying? Like, they got real shit to do. Yeah. And so it's like, I get it, but I don't know. It's just gonna get there. Because, if you stick with it, on some level, you don't fail. And my whole thing is, I didn't quit for, 5 years straight. Haven't quit. Pandemic aside, still didn't quit. And it's like, there is physical, actual change. Yeah. You know what I mean? From when I started to now, there's actual change. So you can't deny that. So I know everything that I'm feeling in my anxieties, if I don't quit, I will be a better person than I am sitting on this podcast. But it's like, to be nice to yourself. Yeah. You know what I mean? In that process. It's like, not let yourself, the right balance of being compassionate with yourself, but also being stern with yourself. You know what I mean? Like, how can you write new jokes if you don't fucking write? You know what I mean? Yeah. Even if you maybe how do you get better at praying and forming a relationship? You have to fucking do it. You know what I mean? And then there's some things that like I just bottom line know. I just have to fucking do it. And sometimes that shit is just laundry. Yeah. Sometimes that shit is just putting dishes in the dishwasher. Yeah. You know, taking a shower, you know what I mean? Like showing up to work and, you know what I mean? Sometimes reviewing your old shit. You know what I mean? All types of shit that you can do that if this, what you really want and the motivation's not coming, there's other stuff, you know? So I do that. I do the other stuff to not be just, for lack of a better word, just a bum. You know what I mean?
You mentioned that you don't want to be famous for being silly. Do you want to do more serious podcasting and kind of show the other side of you?
No, I said I don't want to like make a living being silly and then have this ultimate flip. Like I want it to be balanced the whole way up.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, like it's starting to happen where like sometimes a good set would be a really good set and then people are, you're so stupid. You're so funny. You're crazy. And then it's like, in another capacity, it's like, wow. You know what I mean? Like, my conversations are different than my comedy on stage. Yeah. My dancing is different than my personality out and about. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like my spiritualness or wherever you call it, where I am now doesn't necessarily reflect what I say on stage. You know, like, but I'm still the same person with these levels. You know what I mean? So it's like, just be balanced. You know, the whole wherever up is. Yeah. You know, I'm open-minded that a lick or luck or golden ticket or whatever you call it, it may come from whom I least expect. Yeah. That's something that I'm noticing too. So it's like, that's another reason why, like, though I worry and I'm anxious about a lot of things, what has been instilled in me from everything that I took out of Christianity is the faith thing. Yeah. Like I have faith. Like if you don't quit, you win. Yeah. If you know what I'm saying? If you do a little, that's a lot. Yeah. If you know what I'm saying? Like and those are the things that, you know, help me not to go crazy all the way, not quit.
On your social media, it's all pretty much dancing videos. Where
comedy flyers, like there's 3 sections. So it's like if you go to all the stuff I've been tagged in. Okay. It's like flyers and it's so many flyers. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? And then I personally post certain comedy stuff. So you're gonna see some random comedy things. But then other than that, it's mostly dancing.
Yeah. Which I love. That's a side of you. I've always seen it because like I do video production. I'm like, dude, I would love to produce like a dope video of you dancing.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. Have you always been really passionate about dancing? Like, is it
passionate? I felt like a good portion of my life after it got real churchy felt like Footloose. You know what I mean? Like certain dancing and certain kind of dancing and certain just dancing is just like forbidden. You know what I mean? Like it was kind of like that. Like my mom, you know, she, you know, kind of was a wild child. You know what I mean? She had my sister at 16, me at 21, you know, had a good time, went out, had a good time. And then church. And then it's like, oh, for us too, for my sister and I, lockdown. You know what I mean? Like, you know, only present yourself away, no gyrating, no doing this, no take your shoes off outside, no nothing. You're not a loose woman. You were conservative, strict, blah. So like, you know, I would cheerlead, that was okay. But like, it's certain things in cheerleading that I didn't always feel comfortable doing because, you know, my dad and my mom were kind of like just like very like they were on like hoe patrol. You will not be a hoe. Like, you know what I mean? That's their biggest thing. So like they were just on it. And so I'm all like, well, if I can't get into it like how I want to get into it, then I don't, you know, if you don't do it well, don't do it at all. So it's like, this is black cheerleading. So it's going to be some gyrating. You know what I mean? So it's like, I was like, well, forget it. And then I was like, I always, you know, you watch movies and I love ballet, jazz, everything. Like I always liked all types of dance, James Brown, Michael Jackson, whomever. Like if I'm paying attention if you're dancing, you know what I mean? And if you're good at it, I'm double paying attention. So it's like, it was just a wanting. I always wanted to take dance classes. I always wanted to like incorporate dance in something that I do somehow one day. Yeah. My mother is a very good dancer. My sister can pick up choreography pretty good. And, and back in high school, like in the early 2000s, like hip rolling was a big thing. They literally called it hip rolling. It was stuff probably before in the past, but grinding, hip rolling, like it was like a school to stripper pipeline. Like it really was. Like some of those same dudes, because like they used to form dance groups and go to parties and like get money for like doing routines and certain things like that. And then they used to have like male strip clubs around Detroit. Whoa. And some of those same like high school routines that you would see, like they would do on the stage and get money and stuff like that. Now, like at one point I really wanted to be like a go-go dancer / stripper. Like I really did, because I'm like, it's such the opposite of, and it's like full sexual expression. And it's just like, you can move your body however the fuck you want. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then I was like, okay, I'll never be all the way comfortable with gyrating and twerking and just that, erotic type of dance. Even though there's some of that stems back to certain African rituals and practice, and gyrating is not always sexual, but a certain repression that Western society has about sex and things like that. So it's the ancestral things to want to move your body sometimes a certain way. But it's like, I think I used to dance in church. Liturgical dance is a weird thing because, you have to be careful to not move your body a certain way in church. You know what I mean? You have to have certain things covered a certain way, and it's only certain, but when you have a relationship with God, like it gets too deep sometimes, liturgical dance, where it's like you can't even focus on doing a good routine start to finish, because it's like, where's your spirit at in this? You're supposed to be displaying connection with God through your dance, and like if you're not feeling it, then like it's not just 5, 6. You know what I mean? So it's like there's that, but I didn't feel all the way connected like that, because it was just like, okay, I would want to move my body sometimes in difficult ways that would be hard to repeat. Yeah. So it's not really like a choreographed situation how I naturally move. Yeah. And if I did try to use my natural movements in the choreography, people would say that's too difficult or not easy to remember. So I just kind of chilled out on that, because it got real like robotic and routine like, and I'm like, and just straight choreography is hard for me to do too. And I think it's because I didn't take classes and stuff. So it's like,
she liked to freestyle more.
And that's all since I had access personally to the internet, like, of course, porn and shit, you gonna look, but like dancing, there's not one like high level dancer that I have not came across. Really? No genre. Like a lot of my rabbit holes in the internet is watching people dance.
Yeah. Can Marcus dance?
He used to dance more like without having to pull his leg, come dance with me. Like when he used to drink, like he didn't give a fuck. Like that was like one of the main reasons why I started dating him, because like one, he impressed me with a few different things. One, in his old apartment, like I would come visit, and he still was working a corporate job at the time, and he had a wall full of like goals and plans and how he was going to quit corporate and attack comedy, and he had plans and this, and he put his money where his mouth was, and it's like, I'm doing this and doing that and I'm doing this, and I'm like, oh shit, I just want to make people laugh. I didn't know you had to have plans and shit, like, I'm like, whoa, and then the first day was impressive, and then I was like, this is what I like to do. I like to go out dancing. He was like, fuck, it's not my thing, but I'm gonna get drunk and hang with you. I'm like, all right, Yeah. So like every time, it was, he'll take a night off and drink and dance, but he doesn't drink anymore. He's California sober, and we work so much. And if we're not working, we're doing shows. So it's like we rarely, and we're downtown so much for work that it's like we don't enjoy it. So
you don't want to go downtown anymore.
And plus, it's like, why force somebody to do something that's not really their thing? It won't kill me that he doesn't like to dance. So
yeah,
he will though. if he feels like it. He'll nod his head.
I feel like the longer his beard gets, the less he dances. He's just like, I can't dance with this thing. Is it hard to balance like being in a relationship where you're both doing comedy, or do you guys have a good system worked out?
Because I am treating a mental illness, it's hard for anything sometimes, as far as balance, because, you know, we're human. Sometimes, like, what if one of us gets booked on something that the other one really wants to? Of course, we always try to look out for each other, you know, and a lot of, you know, it's frustrating when you can't help being a human. You know what I mean? Somebody gets something, it's like, I'm happy for you, but it's like, aren't I doing the same thing? You know, where's, you know, or like, you know, we go for the same thing and something, like, you know, it's just, anytime you get put in somewhat of a competitive thing as a couple, it's not, and we really don't look at it like we're competing, because he can't do what I can do and I can't do what he can do.
Yeah, you're just so different.
We are funny, and that's the only thing we have in common as far as our styles, as far like most of my jokes that are sharper, like we'll go over, and then like a lot of jokes that I help him with is more like inspirational, like, you know what I mean? Like it just was so funny. It wrote itself, you know what I mean? You just have to write it right to play it back. Yeah. Like some of his jokes, like I inspired, or they're about me, but they're crafted where it's not about the relationship. And then a lot of my stuff is like general stuff, but stuff that, you know, like, you know, stuff that I say like in conversation. And so we help each other a lot, but it's like just regular human shit. I know, we when we got down here, it wasn't necessarily all the way an even playing field. Like before the pandemic, he was going off of a really good high. Like a lot of good things were lined up and things like that. Kind of, if had the pandemic never happened, I think that we would be in different boats. You know what I mean? Maybe different angles. You know. But the pandemic was very hard for a lot of people, but it's been lucky and blessing for me. I have no clue. I don't want it to stop. Grateful.
You did a lot of praying in your life. Does Marcus make you eat German food? Does he ever be?
He make me. I'm pretty adventurous with food, but his mom is German. She's a great cook. And I like German food. I fuck with it.
What is your favorite kind of food? Is there any?
My favorite kind of food is probably Jamaican food.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I got to live in Jamaica for a month and a half in college. I had a friend that was from there. And, every year he takes friends back. And that year, like, a whole bunch of people canceled. And he was like, well, I'm going back regardless. And I really want you to come. So he just, like, straight up bought my ticket and was like, pay me back later. I'm like, fuck. Like, But I'm like, I guess I'm going to Jamaica. And I stayed for a month and a half and fell in love. I really want to return. I want to own property there. I want to retire there.
That's awesome.
I want to retire my parents there.
Man, were you like near the coast? Like,
well, I was in this small village, kind of like the hood shantytown type area, like called Lucy. Lucy is like maybe 45 minutes or so from Montego Bay. Okay. And like same distance, different road to Negril. Okay. And Montego Bay, Negril, and Lucy, you get access to the beach. It's not like in the middle where you have to drive far. Both have access to the beaches, and I think I went to my first strip club in Jamaica. Really? Yeah, it was beautiful. Really? Yeah. Okay, so we went to this strip club in Montego Bay, and the way that the stripper stage or whatever is shaped, it's like a big stage, circle stage, and it's like a bird cage, like a bird, like the one Tweety Bird used to be in, kind of. But there's a pole in the middle. And you can dance on all the outer poles that the cage is made out of. And then on top of the cage is a pole that goes all the way to the ceiling. Whoa. This girl came out to Michael Jackson's Liberian Girl. And you know how it has dramatic stops and pauses in that song? And like every stop and pause was on point. And she made her way from the outside of the cage to on top of the cage to on top of the pole to the ceiling. And she did like some slip maneuver and ended up in the cage all the way to the floor. I was like, somebody give me some money.
Oh man.
She deserves our money. Like, give her money. Like, that was, I could never. It was beautiful. And it was just on point with the music. And I'm like, wow, every strip club has to be like this, right? Like, it has to be. Then I started going to strip clubs in the States. Not the same.
Yeah. They're just kind of sad.
Like, you know, and I've been to white clubs, black clubs, male clubs. Yeah, I'm glad I never got into that industry. I'd rather deal with these struggles because, man, it could be a beautiful thing, but I just don't understand it. Like, I don't know. It's like you use it when you want to. It's like, who feels like seeing naked bodies? Fuck it. Let's go eat some food, see some naked bodies. And it's like, you know, it's like when porn is like, fuck it. You know, I just, you know, but it's nothing that's like passion. Like, no, it's not. I don't know. Shout out to the people in that industry.
Like, there's no comedy fan level passion of people going to see stripping where they're a real connoisseur of the art. Like, they know the history of,
maybe rappers. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
They seem to really need to go there frequently.
And they do know a lot of like the celebrity strippers like around the country where they're like, yo, we're flying out so-and-so.
Some of the best strippers are networkers and business women, you know?
Yeah, they've been making a lot of money.
Yeah, branch out to different things.
Yeah.
Have you been approached to, other than like spam DM, like have you been approached to be endorsed or by anybody or anything?
Endorsed.
And if you were like a what do you call it? Yeah, endorsed. Like,
like sponsorships?
Sponsors.
Yeah.
That's the word.
Yeah. Yeah. Spam and some real stuff like clothing and different brands. Yeah, some stuff. Nothing too weird. I mean, I did a comedy, like a small comedy special thing with OnlyFans.
Nice.
But I didn't strip or anything like that. It was only on OFTV. So they were like trying to make more just family friendly stuff. But have you been approached?
I got approached by the OnlyFans. I did a video interview with them, and I don't think that they thought I was a good fit. So I was just like,
You'd have been a great fit for it.
It's up to them. I mean, it was up to them. So.
Yeah. Have you been approached by other sponsorships and stuff?
No. Preferably, you know, I would like, you know, I would like clothing because who don't like free clothes, you know?
Yeah.
But stuff that makes more sense, like stuff I do every day, like, you know, maybe product or you know, when Texas finally loosens up on some of the weed laws and stuff like that, companies, I'd definitely like to be endorsed or sponsored by like different, you know, cannabis companies and things like that. You know, I think that would be a good fit.
Have you ever used any of the legal products out here? Like
Delta 8-9, stuff like that. I don't really like Delta 8-9 or CBD.
Yeah.
Just just good regular THC.
Just a regular weed.
Pretty much.
Yeah. No, yeah. It's just a matter of time in Texas before.
Yeah, I'll wait it out. But I mean, Austin is pretty chill. Yeah. You know, as long as you're not just ignorant and stupid with it. Even when you are, most people kind of get away and pretty chill. Yeah. It's just the DWI bullshit. And you just can't be doing that.
I want to ask you this. I think it's fascinating because I always ask comedians what their morning routine is like. And you mentioned that you're a morning person. So normally on podcast days, I don't reach out to a comedian until 11 a.m. because like every comedian I know is always like, oh, I don't even wake up till noon, you know?
Yeah, I'm not that. Like if I wake up past 9, 10 o'clock, just know that I was dog ass exhausted or super high or drunk the night before, which I'm rarely ever drunk. So it's probably high or tired or both. So it's like, yeah, it's very rare. Like sometimes I pop like some edibles before I go to sleep and hope to wake up at least past 9.
Yeah.
But most times though, pop right up. Yeah.
What does your morning look like? So when you wake up, what's happening within the first hour?
The first hour, within the first moments, it's like this weird parting of my dream. Like I know I had one. I know I have questions. I know I went somewhere and came back. Like every morning, I feel like I got dropped off. Like dropped off in my bed. Like I feel like that. Not like physically. Like it's more like.
So you're like a vivid dreamer.
Yeah, but I don't remember the dream. Like I can't tell you any detail. Very little. If I try really hard when I wake up to think one thing detail, it'll stick with me for the day. But like most times, I just have to let that go. I don't know where I went or what that was about, but I'm here now.
Yeah.
And it's like since I'm here now, usually I'm all like, "Where's my vape? Where's my phone?" You know. And then from there, it's like any money, any shows, any bookings. You know, that's usually first priority. Like anything that type. I'm like, okay, what time is it? Automatically, no, I can't call my mom yet, or I will. Bathroom check. Kind of like the big comfy couch. Remember that show on PBS? Oh, okay. It's a show where like at the end of the show, she's done so many activities around the house that it's a big mess. And then it's like, who made this big mess? Boo. It was you. Or most times it's either me or Marcus. So I'm all like, you know, look at this mess, you know? So I'm all like, what I'm gonna do first. Sometimes I don't know what to do first. And it's a lot of my morning before I actually get up and do something is like this.
Yeah.
Look at my phone, look at the life. Smoke up a vape, think about life. A lot of.
Are you having coffee at this point, or
at some point? Most times, like if I order breakfast out, then I'll get coffee from out. Most times, that's also my duty. Is to
doing like Ubereats? I
do that too much. They have gotten so much money from me since I moved to Texas.
It's so nice just to.
It's not nice to see a bank account at all. Like extra fees, extra on top of fees, plus a tip on the fee.
Yeah.
And then like say it's not like Uber or Lyft, like for whatever reason you need to cancel, and then the money is, you know, no, they keep your money. If you can't, like you can't cancel. So it's like,
Yeah.
And then
it adds up after a while.
So I don't even want to look at my statements. It's awful, but I'm not a big cooker. And then, you know, Marcus's workload and things like that has been picking up. Usually he's the cooker. And then it's like, I've been helping out more with like doing the shopping. Usually I just like help clean, laundry, you know, try to get out some shows and prepare for the shows I'm already on and things like that and work. So it's like a lot of it is just that. And then, but something I look forward to every day at some point in the morning is, you know, I love talking to my mom and my sister and things like that, other family, but I look forward to talking to my friend Precious every day.
Yeah.
She's a peer. I'm only like a month older than her, and we went to college together, and we both are pursuing the arts, I guess, for a living. She's a producer, actress, dancer, media person.
That's awesome.
Like, you know, all that. And, you know, I'm just doing what I'm doing. And so like
where's she at?
She's in Detroit.
Okay.
I'm trying to get her to come down here either into August or September. So I'm gonna be introducing her to everybody because like I secretly want her to be my manager.
Yeah. It's not Precious Bogart, is it?
No, her name is Precious Blakely.
Okay.
Precious Blakely.
Because I know a girl
Media,
that
LLC.
I went to high school with who lives in Detroit named Precious, who also is acting and producing. So I was like, that would be nuts if it was the same person.
I don't doubt that she, like anybody that's doing something, she pretty much knows.
Yeah.
So it's like she has her pulse on Detroit like that. So like she's very connected and very much a good networker. And she runs a business, a media company. So she knows back end, front end, what needs to be happening in front of the camera, what needs to be happening back of the camera. And she's very knowledgeable. And it's just I think her and I, like I've been catching a lot of licks here in Texas. And then, you know, some things were picking up for me a little bit in Detroit. But like just her skills with my work ethic, you know, I just feel like we'll make a good duo. It's just, you know, I think we both kind of just in a weird place right now.
Yeah.
Financially and things like that. And just, I think people see the vision for us. They see the potential. It's just a matter of executing. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like I really feel like I put my head down for 5 years and gave comedy an honest try. And as I'm looking up, I'm like, okay,
It's working.
it's trying to kick it up a notch or whatever. I'm taking a class.
Yeah.
I'm hoping as, you know, like it's been, you know, I've been procrastinating on the writing with that still, but it's like at least I come out of it with something written.
Yeah.
At least, you know,
Yeah.
something.
Where are you taking the class at?
It's at Cold Town Theater.
Oh, okay.
Stand-up class. Rochelle Mechanico is my teacher.
Okay.
Super funny comedian.
Well, Genevieve, I think you're hilarious. I appreciate you doing the podcast. I really do mean that. You're one of the funniest people in Austin. And I think you're on the right path, on the right trajectory. And yeah, I think in the end, you're going to be a very balanced person and very, very, you know, you question life. And I think those people always deal with...
and grow beards and become guru.
Yeah, you're going to be a guru. You're going to grow a beard bigger than Marcus one day.
What is a joke?
Yeah, but it sucks when you're in the turmoil because like when you're constantly questions, that's where the anxiety and the stress comes from because you're like, rather than being this person who just kind of goes through life. But so you're doing everything right. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you, man. That means a lot. And
Yeah.
I'm just keep going and hope you keep going. And,
Yeah.
in the words of Tweet, pussy don't fail me now.
Awesome. Where can people follow your stuff? Check out
See
Facebook?
Genevieve on Instagram. I post where I'm at around town or out of town. I try to make a flyer with my current dates as often as I can. Check out my stories and things like that. And I have merch. If you want to get merch, catch me at a show or DM me. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening. Check out Genevieve's stuff, and I love you.